Last month, the petroleum conference in Adelaide drew protests by Extinction Rebellion. One climate activist brought traffic to a standstill by abseiling from a bridge. Another activist, Brad Homewood, defaced the office of oil and gas producer Santos.
We are in a climate and ecological emergency. There's not a social movement that has achieved anything without disruption, and that's all we're trying to do, and we're trying to do it for the benefit of everyone.
The same day Brad was arrested, the South Australian government introduced hastily drawn up legislative changes to crack down on disruptive protesters.
Those the opinions say aye, against no. The ayes have it, the ayes have it.
The changes increase the fine for obstructing a public place from $750 to a maximum $50,000 or 3 months jail. It's the harshest fine for such an offence in the nation.
We hadn't seen any update in these fines in a long, long time. I don't think $750 has acted as a deterrent whatsoever for this extreme form of behaviour.
These laws passed the lower house in 22 minutes, which is not even enough time to do a load of washing. There was no public consultation or even parliamentary scrutiny over these laws in the lower house, and that's not how you make good legislation.
Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
Human rights and other groups hit the streets to protest the crackdown. The state Labor government even found itself at odds with some unions over the changes.
Down with this bill! Down with this bill!
The right to peaceful assembly is protected under international law. It is a fundamental human right, coupled with the right to vote.
Do you consider abseiling off a bridge a peaceful protest?
I do consider someone who's abseiling off a bridge a peaceful protest, but we don't jail people just because they're being a little obstructive and maybe a little bit annoying. Jailing people or giving people a $50,000 fine for taking quite a peaceful action is incredibly excessive in the extreme.
But the Attorney-General says lives could have been at risk, with South Australia's largest hospital on the road which was blocked by the abseiling stunt.
When you abseil off a bridge and you shut down one of the major thoroughfares in a city that has the major metropolitan public hospital on it, that's taken it further than a peaceful protest to get a point across.
If we know that there's an ambulance trying to get through, we will make way for that ambulance, and we tried to cause the least amount of disruption possible and still get the job done.
I'm asking you to clear this intersection or face the consequences.
Back in 1972, when police intervened in an anti-Vietnam War rally in Adelaide, it was then Labor Premier Don Dunstan who notably legislated the right for orderly assemblies to be held in public places. The Attorney-General says the changes are designed only to stop protests which don't have a permit and cause mass disruption.
We're not seeking to stop people from protesting, from drawing attention. What we're really seeking to do is to look at those sorts of behaviours that put other people at risk.
Why can't you protest without causing mass disruption?
You can protest without causing disruption, but it doesn't get any attention. Unfortunately, we have to resort to disruption to get the attention of the media and of the government and of the general public. Yes, it does use some resources of first responders. There's no getting around that, but so does floods like we saw in Lismore and bushfires like we saw in the Black Summer.
Despite opposition from the crossbench and hours of debate, the changes passed State Parliament's upper house last week with the support of the Liberals. David Mejia Canales from the Human Rights Law Centre says South Australia follows other states in taking a harder line on protests.
We've seen similar laws being introduced in New South Wales, same thing in Tasmania, Queensland and Victoria. As the climate crisis has been getting worse, what we're seeing is parliaments in particular targeting environmental and climate activists, in particular because their activism has become more public and sometimes a little bit more disruptive.
The issues that we saw Extinction Rebellion targeting are ones that so many of us agree with. The need to do something about the future of our planet. It's not the issue in any way, shape or form that's being targeted. It's the behaviours of protesters.
The government's job is absolutely to protect people's rights to protest. We have done that. But we've also got a job to protect the rights of everyone else in the community who just wants to get on with their daily lives.
Extinction Rebellion member Brad Homewood was given a suspended 7-day jail term and a 12-month good behaviour bond for what he did to the Santos building. He plans to appeal his sentence. He's also been ordered to contribute to the cost of clean-up.
Yes, we broke the law. Yes, we made a bit of a mess, but it was nothing that could not be cleaned up with a high-pressure hose.
Brad travelled from his home in Victoria for the protest action. You live in Victoria. How did you get to South Australia?
I travelled by car with a group of friends.
Does that make you a hypocrite?
I think we're all hypocrites. If only the pure can take action on climate, then nobody can take action. I could go and live in the forest, I could go and live in a cave, and there's nothing I can do from a position like that.
Brad says he isn't deterred by the dramatic increase in fines in South Australia.
This sort of state repression can have a chilling effect for some people, but for activists like myself and many people I know, it just hardens our resolve.
The Attorney-General says he doubts the $50,000 penalty will be handed out often.
The maximums are reserved for the most abhorrent sort of behaviour that the criminal law seeks to regulate. What we are doing is making it clear that there can be an increase in penalties, and it's up to the court to decide what penalty should be imposed.